Hello, are you able to see my screen? Okay. Today we will see about the RE framework. Okay, so as yesterday said, so we need the main nine important concepts we should know before going to the RE framework, like a dictionary, state machine, and exception handling, should stop activity, jobs, queues, right? So these things and all we should know before that. So let us see. So what exactly this is. So it's basically the robotic enterprise framework, which is provided by the UiPath. Okay. So basically, first of all, it is like a template. Okay, so what is RE framework? RE framework is a simple template given by the UiPath. So if you go to the UiPath here, you can see the templates here, right? Templates. In this, you have a by default template RE framework, robotic enterprise framework. By default, people take with this project. Okay, so first thing is it is a template. Normally, what do you call a template, right? So if you just go to the Google and search for the UiPath resume templates, right? So they will provide us some sample templates. And also, if you see here, suppose let's say uh, PowerPoint or any Word or something. So once you go, these are all the templates, guys. These are all the templates. You can go and take these templates. It's a lot of templates, more themes, basically. So you're just selecting the something from here. So once you select this one, so it will give this is a template. They ready-madely prepared some structures and formats, these things and all. Okay, that is basically a template. Create a template. See, they give the image. Okay, so they give the some title. Okay, and they give some border, right? The styles, everything they design. What they are. So we're just taking the template. So we don't submit immediately. So what we have to do? So we are just customizing the template as per our needs. In the same way, UiPath RE framework is also a template given by the UiPath. Okay, so we have to customize that template to our project. Okay, so each and every project is a totally different, right? So we can customize those projects based on our requirement. Okay, so mainly it is like a transactional process. So mainly the RE framework people take for the transactional based works. Suppose, for example, you have to convert your requirement to the transactional base. Transactional base means each and every item from. So each and every transactions, queue items, or suppose if you have a lot of documents, MS Word documents to process each and every document. Board has to read each and every document from the particular folder and do the process, read the text and fill into the web application. Okay, instead of that, okay, so they are just instead of going with the normal plain workflow, they are just directly taking the RE framework. Okay, so mainly we are using for the transactional based process. Okay, transactional process kind of projects. Okay, so what do you mean transaction? Transaction means anything is a transaction. Suppose, for example, if you have emails, each email is a one transaction. If you have a files in the folder, each file is a one transaction. Okay, if you have a Excel having the records, each record is a one transaction. You have to process each student record or employee record or person record, right? So if you have a database having the record, so each record is a row is a one transaction. Like that, so you have to convert. So which is a transaction? Okay, so you have to think. So for whole your requirement to convert into the transaction based kind of thing, because here's a uh, it's like a mostly used for the transaction based kind of projects. And then as it's a template, okay, they already designed, right? What is the use of taking the template? Why I take these templates? Why can't I go and take the blank page and build something out of that? What is the benefit to take the template? Just type in the chat window. Suppose I want to give the presentation. I'm just seeing this image. Let's see. I feel that image is a good, and let's like a UiPath online classes. Okay, and just type in the chat window. So all others. Okay, what is the benefit? Your words, your thoughts. Okay. Only two messages. Easy to use. Okay, it is easy to use with some customizations. Okay, it will reduce actually work. So you see, I taken the template, so immediately I can present this one. So right, understand? So I can present with just modifying the some text, right? Directly I can go for the presentation. So they already done some work. Understand? They already done most of the work. Okay, so the images, fonts, right? This line is there, right? This line, and this is they divided into multiple screen into the two parts. One is a black color in the bottom, and the above. They designed the perfect color matching. The color is the text color is a white and background is a black, right? These things and all they already done. So what is the use of the template is the first thing is like they already build some work. Okay, that's why instead of you go from the starting from the scratch, if you take the templates, it will save a lot of time in development. Okay, so let us see. So we take this template, prepared slides within a very short time, right? So we don't care about what is the font size because they design font size as per the standards. You understand? With some customizations, we can just prepare. So it saves a lot of time because they already done most of the work. In the same way, okay, so they are handled. So default, it's error proof and working. Oh yeah. Uh, by default, okay. In RE framework, they just take care of the log mechanism, log messages, and exception handling. Okay, and modular approach. Okay, modular approach means they divided everything into the modules. Modules means reusable workflows. Instead of you write a code in the single workflow, they just divide everything into the multiple workflows. Okay, they have it. um Suppose for example, um, take suppose so log into Facebook. So before that, so get Facebook URL and credentials from orchestrator assets, then open Facebook uh, application, basically a web application, log into the Facebook and basically read each name from CSV file and so type into chart window in Facebook. Okay, type message with a wishes. Next one is like, so once everything is done, log out. Okay, so these are all the steps. So it's a simple process. So what we have to do, we have to open the Facebook and log into the Facebook with the username and password, and go to the some navigation. Maybe the once you log in, navigate to chat message page, something like that. Okay, it involves a lot of steps, right? It involves a lot of steps. Okay, so this is the actual work. So from this, read each and every line, type in the chat window, type a message, type in the okay. So you can just take a simple workflow, a main.xml, and directly you can write the whole thing, right? But so just write everything in a single page. So tomorrow they have something like another project. So we have a project B as a get list or okay, post in the groups. Okay, post message in groups, Facebook group. Okay. So for this also we have to, again, these steps is common, right? Opening up to here is common. Am I correct? Up to here is a common, right? And also seventh step is also common. Logout. The maybe the middle steps maybe having the different approach, right? So we can't reuse. Basically, this is like a reuse kind of thing. Okay, log into the Facebook. So if you just create a log into the Facebook, there is another workflow like a login fb login.xaml. So in the second project, whether you are doing this project or some other teammate is doing the same project, and for that project also they have to do the Facebook login, then what you can just do, you can share this XAML. Okay, so what is the benefit? What is the benefit if I share the FB login, which I spent almost 3 days to develop this login.xml by doing the selections, these things and all. We don't need to create from the scratch. Yeah, we don't need to create everything from the scratch. Reusable workflows reduce the time, okay, development time, and can be used as it is. Yeah, can be used as it is, right? So it's having a lot of benefits. And also here is so we can create a init all application, init all applications dot xml. So in the init all applications, so we're just opening the application. Once we open the applications, whether we are checking whether the Facebook is opened or not, and send the message. Okay, here in the first part we can make it as like a init all settings. Maybe so getting all the items from all the required values from the assets and something, right? Maybe here is like a so navigate.xml. Here is logout. Logout has some involvement, right? So we have to check whether it is already logged in or not by using the element exist. Once it is logged in, just click on the logout button and wait up to it is logged out properly and close the browser. These are all the multiple steps involved in the logout process. Okay, the same workflow you can just reuse here. That is a benefit of the modular approach. So basically you have a modules, they already have a designed the modules. Some modules, see, they already design the module. Some modules have the code, some modules does not have a code, so we have to write. They ask us to write this type of work and do it in the particular workflow. Okay, they suppose, for example, if you want to kill any processes, so word or anything, you have a kill all processes.xml is there. Okay, let us try here. Init all settings dot xml. So what is this? Init all settings is like basically it is one workflow. The UiPath RE framework is provided. So what's the config dot xlsx? They are converting into the config dictionary. Okay, so what is the dictionary? We already learned string comma object dictionary. This is the object dictionary. So this string comma object dictionary is using throughout the whole project. Okay, in RE framework, so wherever you go, so wherever in which workflow, if you want any values from the assets or Excel, any values, maybe the URL or credentials or the file paths or report location or email ID password, right? And subject of the email or body of the email, do not hard code in the RE framework. You just mention in the either it is a assets or in the Excel, config Excel. Okay, this config Excel having the 3 sheets. There is a config Excel. They already built the config Excel. This has 3 sheets like a settings, constants, sets. Okay, understand? So basically, let us maybe if this is a project. Okay, my project or REF, Robotic Enterprise Framework. So what they done, they created one folder called data. Within the data, they created another folder, so inputs, input and output. Okay, so maybe if you want to use, you can use. Apart from this, they created one Excel called config. Okay, within this config, they have a 3 sheets. Okay, these are all the pre things you have to keep in mind. Each and every part. Each and every part means how many sheets are there in the config? 3 sheets. What is the sheet's name? Okay, these things are all you should keep in mind. That's why please listen carefully. Settings, constants, and assets. Okay, settings has a what they build like a, so what is the name of the setting and value and description. Name is like a suppose a FB URL, okay, or something like that, not FB URL. Okay, number of uh, friends per run. So each run I want to run to only to chat with the people. Suppose for example we have a 300 friends are there in our account, Facebook account. So every run it has to execute only 10 records. Okay, 10 friends it has to send messages, because maybe the Facebook is detecting the robots and Facebook is blocking the account. That's why we are just avoiding. So suppose every 10 the value, right? So it is a description. So each run number of friends. Description, they just forgot about the description. Description will tell about what it is actually. Okay? Description will explain hint. It is like a hint. So maybe if you just develop a project, you move to the another project or another company, someone else come into the same place and looking for that particular Excel. So you have to write the description. So by seeing the description, they can understand why you provided this variable. Okay, understand? So all the instead of creating the multiple variables, what we are doing, so we're just creating all the values into this config Excel. Config Excel having the how many sheets? Settings, constants, and assets. So basically, this kind of things is settings and what is the orchestrator name. Suppose for example, FB friends queue. It's the orchestrator queue name. Okay, like that. So what are all the settings like? So the queue names or any credentials. So FB credentials, FB cred. Okay, so FB cred. So you created the some credential asset in the orchestrator. So you're providing the credential asset name here, and by using this value, you are accessing the variable. So suppose for example here, if you want the number of friends, right? Config of number of ever run. So like this we will access. So if I just use this one, what is the value? Type in the chat window. If we convert everything Excel into the config dictionary, okay, so key value pair, just A column is a key and B column is a value. So sorry, A column is a key and yeah, so B column is a value, key value pair. Yeah, it is a 10, okay, because it will give the value. So actually, so we need the values to wherever you need the values, you're using these keys. Okay, so constants is also having the same thing, basically a name, value, and description. And names is like a, so what is a file path? Okay, Excel file path, CSV, C drive /user/, okay, so fb.csv. So it's like, it's also a key value pair. Okay, don't forget about the descriptions. The descriptions are just by seeing this Excel, people can understand by seeing that. Okay, like that. So you have a lot of things, but you may have a spaces in the settings and constants. No problem. Okay, you can write here another thing like a okay. So when okay, so trigger date or trigger time. So when it has to run every day, 13 hours, so it has to run like that. So you can have a constant values in the constants and settings values in the settings. Like a settings means what is the queue name, what is the login credentials, this and all. Assets has a name and asset, okay, and description. Okay, so name is like a name of the you have to give the name like a FB URL and Facebook URL. That is the asset name. Actually, this is the asset name in the orchestrator. Okay, here does not have a values. Here all the things are the asset names. So what the robot will do is robot will take this. So if you use just simply directly use a config of FB URL. So keep in mind, always you have to use these values in the config. These values in any sheet, whether it is a settings or constants or assets, you have to use these values. So the other things are the values directly whichever you give here are coming there in the settings and constants, but assets, it is not coming the values from here. It is a directly check the value of this asset name Facebook URL in the asset in orchestrator asset and take that URL www.fb.facebook.com. Okay, so these values it will store into the config. So where is the config file by default in the framework? It is there in the data folder config. How many sheets are there? Settings, constants, and assets. 3. Okay. Type in the chat window. Others also please participate in this discussion. Okay. And one more thing is like, can we add another sheet here? Okay. In the config, we can add any number of sheets. Okay. Let us go to the here RE frameworks. Another folder is like there is another folder framework. Okay. Within the framework folder, you have a, as I said, it's a modular approach. You have a different type of things like a init. Basically, init settings.xml is like a, so what the duty of the init settings? So let's go and check. So init settings. What is the duty of this one? The each and every, this is a predefined. So it's already built. Okay. It's not empty XML. It's already built. The code which is coming reading all the sheets from the config and load into the config dictionary is done. Okay, you don't need to do any work for the init settings. Okay, like this. So we are not changing any font, right? The font changes and these lines, everything is done. That's why I like that. So init settings is used to What is the use of the init all settings? Use it to convert all the values from the config Excel and load it to the config dictionary. Okay. Simple config.xlsx config dictionary string object. Okay, so we have a predefined, so you have to know about these things also. We have a config dictionary. That's basically that I am just using the dictionary of string comma object. Okay, so we have a the main default variables is there. So what is the name and type? Okay, so what is the type and what is the name? Okay. Oh, name of the variable and what is the type of the variable, and config is a name and type is like a string is the key and value is the object. Okay, now so you understand this one, right? What is the use of this init all settings? Now next one is like a init all so I will tell you few things. Let us see init all applications. I will ask the questions at the end of this. Okay, so I will tell you the workflow. So you have to tell that. So what is the purpose of that one? Okay, init all settings is a empty one. Okay, init all applications. Sorry, init all applications is a empty one. It does not have any code. Okay, you have to build the code as per your project. This is like a empty. It's empty. So here open applications. Okay, open browsers and so login process. That means you are making the application ready before processing. Okay, those things and all you are just doing here. Okay, you want to open the application, so you just write down. So if you don't have a if you don't want to open any applications, don't write any code in this one. Okay, they give the facility, whether you have to use or not. So that is a based on your project. Okay. Kill all process. Kill all processes is like a, it is used to killing the processes. So it's also empty. Is also basically a empty. So here you have to write a code like a kill uh, Excel or kill Word. So first of all, we should know what are all the applications so the project is involved. Okay, so each project is involving in the multiple applications. It's not like a static. Okay, so some applications are interacting with the Excel. Okay, so some applications is interacting with the Word and SAP, or some applications interacting with the some other Windows application, right? So you whatever the applications are involved in your project, so you have to kill those applications here by using the simply a kill process. There is a kill process is there. If you just see kill process, why we need to use the kill process? The kill process is also a empty one. Okay, that does not have any code. You have to write. Who have to write? Developer has to write a logic like so. If you want to kill the processes, any process, you have to write this one. Okay, so why this is a call in some other places. Suppose any exception occurred in the while it is closing the application properly. Okay, if the application is unable to close, Chrome is not able to close. So if you want to use the, if you use the kill Chrome in this, so once the exception occurred, it will go to the catch block and it is a kill, it is calling the kill process. You have to write the all the kill process code here. Okay, so first of all, blindly you have to check, so what all the applications we are involving, just develop the kill process for those applications. It is a very simple, just use the like a kill process. Yeah, kill process, kill all applications, and here you have to mention the process name. What is the process name? Suppose like a, I use the calculator, right? Calculator is open. Okay, so if I just use a calc, the calculator is open. So if I just run this one, so calculator will close automatically. Basically, kill means terminating. Okay, calculator is not killed. We don't know the process name, so process name, just go to the task manager and select the calculator. Go to the here. Go to the details here. Just set the calculator. This itself is a calculator.exe. Calculator.exe. So you can go to the task manager and so what is the exe name? Okay, so maybe calculator. Okay. Okay, it's killed, right? So you should not use a .exe. It's only the process name. So now it's killed. Okay, like that. So that is a kill process. What is the next one? Get transaction data.xml. So get transaction data. The purpose of this get transaction data is like it will get the transaction single item from the single item from the. So before that, let us build one workflow. Okay, suppose as state machine is built on top of the state machine, we have a single state. Initially, it is like a init. Init is a one state. Init. In the init state, so what it will do, so every state, so we have a 4 states by default. Okay, you can add any number of states if you want. By default, it is coming with the 4 states. First one is the init state. Okay, in the state machine, you know the right state and final state. In the init state, every state, each and every state is enclosed with the try and catch. Okay, it has a in entry block, it has a try and catch. Okay, so they covered in the try and catch. So here, suppose for example, initially within the try, they have a system error. That is a system exception. So they will make it like a nothing. Initially, they will make the system exception is nothing. They will call like a init all. Yeah, they will check so if config is empty. Okay, is nothing. Basically, initially, first time the config is a nothing, right? The config dictionary does not have anything. If config is nothing, so what they will doing? So they will call init all settings .xml. Okay, they will call the init all settings xml. So then they will call the init all applications .xml. Okay, okay, they may call the kill process, kill all processes .xml. Right? So they will call the init all applications, these things and all. If any exception occurred, if any exception occurred in the catch block, they just simply assign system error is equal to exception. They don't do anything. They will just assign the value. That's it. Okay. So this is a entry init block. So after that, so you have a exit block. So see, there is a final state. Final state. Okay. Init state, get transaction state, process transaction state, final state. Okay. In the final state also nothing. There is no such code like a try catch is there. Try in the try block. They call the close all applications. Okay. Close all applications dot XML. For this close all applications is also a empty. Okay. So let us see. Let's go to here. Close all applications. Just create a close all applications. Okay, so what is the close all applications? Close all applications also a empty. So in the same way how you use the unit all applications, you have to use a close logout process. Okay, logout applications. If the application is having the logout mechanism, you have to write the logout process in this workflow. Okay, clicking on the logout button, and if they pop up say anything, so do you want to log out, say yes or no. Okay, so these type of code and all you have to write in the close all applications, and close tab or close window, something like that. So you are just closing is different, killing is different. Do you understand? Notepad, if I use a notepad or no, not notepad, because we have a, yeah, let us say, yeah, let us say notepad. Okay, we have a notepad, right? Notepad closing is click on this button. This is a closing, properly closing, and it will ask you to the save the modifications. So okay, you know, right? Normally if the anything is downloading in the Chrome, so if you try to close the Chrome, what it is showing, you want to leave the page, or do you want to continue the downloading, right? So this is a closing properly, okay, in the good way, closing gracefully, that is a okay. So normally if you click on the close, kill process is like a, so it terminating basically. Okay, if I have a notepad, just try to end process, it is ending the process without, even though there is a changes, it is ending the process, that's it. Okay, this is the kill process. Do you understand the difference between the close and close and just type in the chat window yes or no. Okay, so close all applications having the, so we have to write the code of the close all applications. This is also a empty. Why it is empty? Because UiPath does not know so what type of project you are working, right? That's why they kept as a empty. So many things like init all applications is empty, kill all process is empty, close all applications is empty, but they created the some workflows. And next one is like a, so here where is the other thing? Okay, so close all applications. If while closing any exception are there, while closing any exception is there, kill all processes dot xaml. It will call in the catch block. Once any exception occurred while closing the applications in the final state, so it will go to the catch block, and in the catch block, what is there? Kill all processes dot xaml. Let us connect this one. So the connecting like a, I'm just connecting. So here this one to here. Okay, so when it will go, this is the one transaction, right? This is the one transaction. Init is connected to the final state. Init state is connected to the final state. So what is the connection name? If I drag the one line from the one state to another state, okay, what is the what is that line name? Transaction. Okay, transition, not transaction. Okay, you are correct. Okay, transition, that is correct. Okay, transition. How many blocks are there in the state? How many blocks? 3 blocks: entry, exit, and transitions. Now we connected the entry init to the final state. That is having the condition. That condition is like a system error. Error is not what it mean. What does it mean? Another variable is called exception. So system error or exception. Okay, error. What is the type? This is a exception type. That is a name is a exception type. This is another variable which is a common variable. Okay, there might be an exception in the there is a one exception in the init block. That's why it is going to the final block. If any exception, any system exception occurs in the init block, where it will, what is the next immediate state? These are all the entry questions. Okay, if any system exception occurred in the init state, what is the next immediate state? What is the next immediate state? State name, final state. Right. What about others? Others also please type. Okay. If any exception occurred in the init state, so what is the next immediate state? It is a final state. Okay. Okay. Next thing is like a so if there is no exception occurred, we'll go to the another state. Here the condition is like a the same thing like a system error is nothing. Okay. System error is nothing means that is a there is no exceptions occurred. Okay, everything is working fine in the init. Then it is going to the get transaction state. What is the next state? Get transaction state. That is the third state. Get transaction state. In the get transaction state, what is there? First step is like a should stop. They will check should stop. Okay, should stop. You know, right? Yesterday we learned should stop. So there is a two things. One is a there is a two things. One is like a they will check the if condition. One is a true block if the should stop is clicked, and if the should stop is not clicked. Understand? Should stop is clicked. This is the else block. Should stop is not clicked. It's the then. It's the else. Okay. First, they will check the should stop whether anyone click on the stop button from the orchestrator or not. If it is true, what it will do? There is another workflow is there and another. This is the main thing. Transaction item. Okay. Transaction item. Okay. So this type is like a by default. These are all the by default. I am saying. Okay. By default, if you want, you can change. By default it is coming with the there is a transaction. These are all the variables. These variables names you have to keep in mind the variable names and what is the type of that variable. Okay, transaction item is a queue type, queue item type. Okay, the transaction item it is checking. So here in this so transaction item, so I'm just using the transaction item ti. Okay, T item. I'm just using the T item just for understanding. Nothing. Just saying that T item is nothing. Because so why T item is nothing? Because someone is clicked on the stop button from the orchestrator and should stop returns the true, then it is going to the then block. Okay. Do you understand? So if should stop is clicked, so what is it, where it is going? It is going to the then block, and here there is another transaction that is called if transaction item is nothing. This is the condition in the in this transaction. I'm just giving the T item. Actually, there is a transaction item. Okay, because of the space, I'm just typing the short name. Okay, if the transaction item is nothing, then it where it will go? It will go to the which state? Okay, here there is a try. There is a get transaction data dot xml. Okay, in the else block, and if any catch block is there, then T item is equal to nothing. Okay, in a very simple thing. Okay, in the get transaction state, first thing it will check whether it should stop is triggered or not. Should stop is triggered or not, right? Okay, if the should stop is triggered, and it will go to the then block, and it will assign the transaction item equal to nothing. Then it will go to the final state. Okay, if should stop is not clicked, so that means stop button is not fired from the orchestrator. Where it will go? It will go to the then block or else block. Just type in the chat window. Okay, then or else, if someone is not clicked, no one click on the stop button in the orchestrator. Then or else, it is a else only, right, Soraya? It's a, you just type the then. That's why it's a else only. If anyone click on the that, then it will go. It returns the true. Then that's why it is going to the then. Now it is going to the else. What is the else part? Else part are also having the try and catch. In the try block, they call the get transaction data dot XAML. Okay. So what is the purpose of the get transaction data here? Get transaction data. Okay. Get transaction data XML. It is a simple thing. So they have a get transaction item activity. It is there within that get transaction item activity. So what it will do, it will send the output of this one is like a, so output is like a transaction item. This will give the transaction item. So transaction, it is basically a filling the transaction item. Okay, filling the transaction item. So the get transaction data dot XAML, the inside it is a nothing. It is also predefined. How init all settings is they already build the logic in the same way. Get transaction data is also having the logic built. Okay, so what is the purpose of this one? So only simple thing. They just call the get transaction item, and they will so they simply they like this type of code. Okay, get transaction item. They call the get transaction item. The output of the get transaction item, they just mention like a they have a some out underscore transaction item, that is a Q item, basically out. Okay, that is a Q item. Okay, that one they gave the here the transaction out underscore transaction item, and here they check the if condition. Sometimes there might be a suppose the out underscore transaction item is nothing. Okay, so sometimes it will give the nothing. So when it will give the nothing, type in the chat window. If you use the get transaction item by just passing the queue name, okay, so the transaction item is giving the nothing. When it will give the nothing? If there is no transactions, so just type. If there is no items to process, yeah, perfect. Okay, if there is no items to process in the orchestrator, not when there is a should stop. Should stop is gone. Okay, should stop is gone because the should stop part only in this place only. Okay, just listen, Sneha. Okay, should stop is gone. We are already in the. We're not now. We're not checking the should stop. That's checking the should stop is gone. Okay. Once we check the should stop, even though in the middle they stop, click on the stop button, it won't care. Okay, it won't check and it will normally continue. Okay, it will check only when it comes again on the same position. So when there is no items available in the orchestrator, then it will go to the it will just send the nothing transaction item in nothing. Okay, tell me here. Okay, if there is no items available, there is no new items. Okay, instead of there is no items, instead of there is no new items available in the queue. Okay, that is the actual meaning. Okay, there is no new items available in the queue, then it will return the nothing. Okay, now the question is, if there is no new items are available in the queue, so in the from the get transaction else block, the get transaction, what is the output of the get transaction data dot XML? Transaction item. Okay, if the transaction item is nothing, where it will go? What is the next immediate state from the get transaction state? If the transaction item is empty, nothing, there is no items available in the queue, what is the next immediate state? Queue final state. That's a perfect. Okay, and also one more question here. while it is retrieving from the orchestrator, actually orchestrator is on the internet, right? Okay, if some network connection is missed, some network fluctuation is happen while the robot is going on. Okay, if that time, so while it is getting the calling the get transaction data, there is some exception occurred. Where it will go? It will go to the catch block in the else block. Okay, in that, so what is the next immediate state? It's the final only. Okay, it is the final only. From the get transaction state, we are not having any connection to the init. Do we have any connections? What is the, how many connections are there? How many transactions are there in the get transaction state? Up to now, only one. It is connected to the final state. Why it is a init? Do you understand, Gopi? Why it is init? In the get transaction, up to now, the get transaction state is connected to the final state only. It is not connected to the init state. Okay, my question is, while it is getting the transaction from the orchestrator, it got some exception. Okay, oh, okay, so it got some exception here. Do you understand? Here, see, in this place, okay, so while it is getting in this place, we got exceptions. Where it will go? It will go to the catch block. What is there in the catch block? Transaction item is nothing. If transaction item is nothing, so where it will go? Understand? It will go to the final state. This is a, we have to understand each and every part in the RE framework. Okay, now, so let's go to the final thing, that is like a basically it is like a process state. This process state is actually the place where you are writing your logic. Okay, process, the business logic, process state. What is the condition here in this transaction? Transaction item is not nothing. That means this transaction item has some value. Is not nothing. Okay, is not nothing means some item is there in the transaction item. Okay, transaction item variable contains the some item. That is a condition. So here also in the try block, try. So business error, business exception is nothing, and system, anyway, system exception is already there. Business exception is nothing. Then they will call the just a process dot xml. Okay. So then if any exception occurred, any exception catch block, any exception occurred, they will just use they have a different catches. There's a B catch, business exception catch, and the business exception is equal to exception. Okay, and or there is another catch is like a SE exception. Okay, I'm just using the shortcuts. SE means system error. Okay, system error equal to exception. Any exception may occur, right? So here finally also there, finally block, right? So here they are calling a set transaction status dot xml. Okay, now we have a different let's go here. There is another work called set transaction status dot xml. Okay, so what is the use of this set transaction status dot xml? This has the I will ask questions for these are all the things you have to answer. So okay, what is the use of this one? This will set the transaction status in queue, whether it is a success or so fail. If it's a failed, error, exception, error, so what type of error it is. So whether it's a system exception or application exception or business exception, and they have to provide the reason also, right? These are all things available here. Only three things: success, application exception error, or you can call it as a system exception error. Okay, and business exception error. This is a business exception error. Okay, So basically, they have a also reason they are providing. Basically, set transaction status of the. So the another question is also in interviews they will ask where we are setting the which workflow we are just updating the status of the queue. Okay, that is a question. So which workflow in whole RE framework, in which workflow we are updating the status of the queue, right? So which workflow? Set transaction status is a where we are calling the set transaction status in whole workflow. Which position, which place we are calling the set transaction status in the process state, right? In the process state, again in the process state where we are calling in the set transaction status in the process state, within the process state. Finally block, see the finally block will execute always whether the exception occurred or not. If it is a business exception or system there is no exceptions, it will go to the finally block, right? So where we are calling the set transaction status in the process XAML. Finally, please type, others also please type, and my just don't write down here. So some people they connect like this, okay? They connect like a process to the final. So one key point we have to keep in mind is like a process state is not connected to the final state. What is the point? Init is connected to the final state, get is connected to the final state, but process should not connect to the final state. That is what we have to understand. So while you are drawing the picture also, do not connect the process state to the final state. Process state is not at all connected to the final state in the RE framework. Okay. Okay. So now, once that is a success, okay, there is a 3 ways here. What are the 3 ways? As we discussed, success, business exception, system exception. Okay, anything may occur in the process state. Anything may occur, right? So here you see the try block is there. If the process is executed properly, it will go to the finally block, and it will set the transaction status equal to success in the queue, right? The another thing like so if the system if the business exception occurred, business has some rules. So maybe the A should not be below this one, like this. This is the conditions based on the user requirement that is occurred. So it will go to the business exception catch block, and then it will go to the finally block and set the transaction status equal to application exception. Sorry, business exception, and provide the reason. Now here there is a 3 transactions are there. Okay, 3 transactions are there in the process state. So this is a one connection. One connection. This connection is like a, what is this connection? This connection is like a, we'll write down here. Okay. Business exception is not nothing. Is nothing. Okay. Is nothing, and system exception is nothing. Okay. Do you understand? This is a business exception is nothing and system exception is nothing. What it mean? Just type in the chat window. What does it mean? Business exception is nothing and system exception is nothing. It means, what is that? Okay, there is no exceptions, no errors. Okay, it means it works well. Okay, work well, perfect. Okay, so if one transaction is successfully executed in the process state, so what is the next state? It will go to the get transaction state. Suppose, for example, if you see Ramesh, Suresh, Girish, Naresh, Harish, Nitish, okay, uh, Rajesh, okay. These are all the transactions. One, two, three. Okay, just imagine these are all they applied for the loan. Okay, they applied for the loan. Their salary is like a 50K, 50K, 40K, 80K. These are all the monthly salaries. I'm just updating. Okay, 25K, 67K. Okay, this is the data. Just each and every transaction, right? So actually, the rule is like a if salary is less than 30K. Okay, so it's like a business exception. V1 business exception is like a so if salary is less than, so reject. And the reason is like a, what is the reason? Less salary, something like a, okay, limit is not salary limitation is not accepted, something like that. Okay, this is a business said that, so it is one rule. What is the first thing? First thing is success, right? Ramesh is a success. Yeah, not eligible. Okay, so if it's a success, where it will go? It is taking the Ramesh, right? So it is a success, successfully updated. Successfully updated means what they have to do, they have to just open the SAP cloud and update. This is a web application. This is a web application, and they have to update here, update the details. It will go to the get transaction states. What will happen in the get transaction state? Get transaction state, from the get transaction state, where it will go? Now get transaction will state will take the second item. Okay, Suresh, it will take the second Suresh record and it will put into the, what is the transaction? Now the transaction item. This is a Q item, right? Item having this information, Suresh information. Okay. So if the transaction item is a not nothing, where it will go? It will go to the process state. You go to the process state. In the process state, what is the condition? So whether it is a success or not? Eligible. Then what is the next thing? So from the process, where it will go? Suraya, it's a failed. Why it is a failed? Is there any specific reason it is a failed? Suraya, why you said it is a failure? The salary is less than 30K, 30,000. Where I said 50K? Then reject. The reason is not eligible, less salary. Suraya, so you said it is a failure. So I not understand. So why it is a failure? Is it failure or success? Why it is a 50K? I'm not understand. So Suraya, what is a 50K? It is a below 30K, not above. 40 is a below 30, above 30K, right? It's not below 30K. Below 30K means it has to reject. Okay, 40 is a above 30, right? So then it is a success. Then where it will go? You will go to the get transaction again. Okay, next it is taking the next item. So what is the next item? The transaction item is having the which name? Just type the name. The transaction item having the which person data? Girish data. Okay, it is a success or not? Okay. So next one is the what is the transaction items? Transaction item data. It will go to the get transaction. It will take the next item. What is the, who is the next item? Naresh. Naresh is a success or not? Failure. Which exception it is? It's the business exception. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Business exception. Okay. The business exception occurred. So what we have to do? We have to update the business exception and the reason. Okay, it's a less salary. Then again we have to go for the next item. Okay, we should not stop here. We have to go to the next item. That's why here the next item is like a the business exception. Even though it is a business exception, it will go to the where? Get only. Business exception is not nothing. This is the condition. And system exception is nothing. Business exception is not nothing. Okay. So if any business exception occurred, so after processing the Naresh record in the process state, where it will go? Which state it will go from the process? Get transaction state. Okay. So another question is like, so if any business exception occurred in the process state, what is the next immediate state? They will ask. See, RE framework is a very easy if you understand the links. Okay. If you don't understand, so totally it is a confusion, because it's a very easy if you understand the where it will go from where based on the which situation. Okay. Now the process state, if a success, it will go to the how many times it will go to the get transactions. If it's a success, it will go, and business exception it will go. Okay. Now next one is like a while it is a processing. So while the Harish now the record is a Harish, right? Now the transaction data is having the Harish. So each in the process while it is doing, so opening the SAP cloud and some SAP server is down, something is not interacting. Basically the SAP web application is not responding. Okay, that's why it is some exception, system exception. Okay, select or not found. Okay, what is this? This is the system exception. If system exception occurred, where it will go? It will go to the system exception catch block and go to the finally. It will update the this transaction is a SE system exception, and it will go to the let us see when the system exception occurred. So this is like a if system exception is not maybe, and business exception is nothing. So one thing is enough. So if the system exception is nothing is enough. Okay. If the system exception is not nothing, then we'll go to the init state. So why we have to go to the init state? Okay. So why we have to go to the, what is the reason why we have to go to the init state? Why can't we go to the transaction state again, if even though it is a system exception? Can you tell? Reset the system. Okay. Because see, SAP cloud application is what happened with the SAP cloud application? It's a hung, right? So it's not responding. Okay, it's not responding. Okay, if you try this one, even though you are trying this one, so still it is the application is the same, right? Application is not responding. If you try this one also, application will not respond, right? So if it's going to the get transaction state and take the another item, so unnecessarily it is failing for all the items. If one is failed, suppose you have 100 record, 1 lakh record or 1 lakh records are there, the 100th record is a failed, the whole 900 records are failed unnecessarily. Okay, so to reset the system means, so clean the applications. See here we have a kill applications, right? Kill all process. It will what it will do, first it will go to the init all settings, and init all settings, just observe the init all settings again. What is there? First it is assigning the system error equal to nothing. Next, what is there? If config is nothing, now it is a config is nothing or not? Nothing or not? We went from the process to the init, okay, because the system exception occurred. Here my question is, in here, if config is nothing, that means config dictionary is nothing, is it empty or not? Yes means empty, okay, no means not. Just type in the chat window, empty or not. Empty, just type empty, or you can just type the not empty, okay, or filled, okay, empty or filled. Am I audible? Hello? Yeah, my question is empty or not. So the second time we went from the process to the init, once the system exception occurred. In this position, the config has the values, or it is a empty config, nothing. Yes means empty or full. Just type empty or full. Suraya, what is the get transaction? My question is totally different. Okay, I'm not asking so whether it is going to the get transaction or not. Okay, the question is, so now where the stage of the process has a system exception, we went to the init state. Okay, empty or full. If it's a full, it won't go to the init all settings. Okay, so init all settings, how many times? So the whole workflow, the whole RE framework, how many number of times it is executing, how many number of times it is going to the init state, the init all settings, how many times it will execute init all settings? Sneha, it's not like a partially filled. Okay, one time it is a filling, that's it. Sneha, one time it is a filled, it is already filled. If you refill also, there is no use, right? It's already filled. The values are available throughout the workflow in the config. Why we have to go and just waste the time to read the Excel and fill, right? Surya, it is a 0 times means the init all settings will call in the 0 times or not? What you are saying? Init all settings call 0 times? Surya. No, we are in the init state only. We are not coming to the get, not process. We are in the init state, inside the init state. So we just, the questions are inside the init state. There is a lot of steps are there, init state, right? Okay, I'm just asking how many number of times the init all settings will call throughout the workflow. One time, okay, once. So even though it is going from the process to the init, it won't call the init all settings because we're checking if config is nothing. So how many times the config is nothing? Only the initial the starting time only the config is nothing, and it will fill all the data into the config, and it won't fill again and again. Okay, then you go to the kill process and it will kill the processes, SAP Cloud, Chrome, everything it will kill. Then it will go to the init all applications second time, and freshly it will open and log into all the applications and go to the get transaction state and take the, okay, so once it is going get transaction state and take the next item, right? Is a system exception, right? Where is the system exception or retry, right? And next it is taking the next item. What is the next item? So it will go into the process. So where is the success or system exception? Business exception, because it is a less than 30. And the next it is going to the next item. So from process to the process to the get. What is the here? Is the success or not? Okay, I think that's it. So we're done. So almost let's go back here. So we have another workflow called we have a process.xml that is outside of the framework, and actually there's a main.xml. The whole workflow, whatever you are seeing here, right? This picture, init, get transaction, process state, and final state. This everything is there in the main.xml. Okay, main.xml, and process here having the process is also empty. Process is also empty. So this has a input variable called indirection, is like a indirection of in underscore transaction item. That is a item. So basically it is a indirection in transaction item. Okay, so once we get the in transaction item, so the actual process, that means typing something, clicking on the navigating the actual workflow, click on the some type the all the employee details or the person details, submit this, everything is a you have to write in the process.xml. Process.xml is a empty file. Okay, the design, it has a parameters like a input, it has a two parameters, two arguments. Okay, in underscore config. Let me type the two arguments. So the process has how many arguments? Two arguments. One is the in transaction item, in underscore transaction item, in underscore config. Okay, the init all applications has a one in underscore config. Everything is a config is there. This is the indirection. Okay. And the kill all process also having the in underscore config. Just see here also in underscore config. If you don't have the in underscore config, you have to. So here, so out underscore config. So this is the out direction, and in underscore sheets list. Okay, and in underscore Excel config path. Okay, so these are all the input directions. So what is that? This is basically a list. You have to provide the settings and constants. Okay, constants, because you don't need to see this is some small like so you don't need to pass the assets. Okay, only settings and constants. You have to pass this list to the input to the this init all settings, and this will give the output config out underscore config. The process having the two variables, and get transaction having a lot of variables here. Okay, out underscore transaction item. Okay, in underscore IO underscore transaction number, in underscore transaction data. There's a data table. Okay, these are all the things. So they mention by default. Actually, so we're using this one only if you use the queues. Okay, if you use the another things like as a data row, these things and all, then you can use the init transaction number and transaction. Okay, data table. Okay, now where is that? Here, modular approach. And exceptions by default true. So how set transaction you don't need to worry about the get transaction and set transaction because they are already taken care of. Okay, understand? They already built the logic for this, setting the transaction status and getting the transaction status. Modular approach, exception handling. Modular approach is like a okay use. They already taken care of. Then what is the next thing? By default, so it will come with the tools, and without tools also you can use, we can use, and the transaction item might be a string or data row or int or 32 or anything. Okay, mail message. Okay, anything. So suppose you know, right? Regularly we are just seeing the type argument. While I'm dragging the for each activity, I used to ask what is the type argument, right? If this is a list of strings, the type argument is a string. If it's a list of int32, the type argument is a int32. If it's a list of mail messages, what is the type argument is a mail message. In the same way, if transaction data is another thing. Okay, if it's a data table, transaction item is a data row. If it is a list of strings, what is the transaction item? If the transaction data is a list of strings, what is the transaction item? Strings. So with the list of mail messages, if the transaction data is a list of mail messages, what is the transaction item? What is the transaction item? Data type, mail message. Okay, so like that. So, okay, this is a question. So they will ask, how can you use without queues? So then, what is the transaction item? What is the transaction data? You can just tell, so it might be a string, it might be a data row, it might be a int32, it might be a anything in the sense. If the transaction data is a data row, data table, then transaction item is a data row. If the transaction item data is a list of strings, then transaction item is a string. Okay, it is a depending on. Okay, and there is a transaction number is there. So by default, it is the value is a 1. Okay, by default. So what is the by default value of the transaction number? That is also one question they will ask. Okay, transaction number is used to loop each and every item. So you want to get the items. So how many items are there? Process these things and all. Yeah, that's it about RE framework. Hope you all understand. So see the RE framework. We build a little bit almost kind of thing. So let us see. The main is there, process is there within the RE framework. So you have these many workflows. Even it's like a take screenshot is there. Okay, maybe recently take text screenshot is there. So basically text screenshot, they use the text screenshot in the set transaction state. In the set transaction state, in the exception. So while they are just having the system exception, they are just taking the screenshot and kept in the some particular folder. Okay, something like a error screenshots. The folder maybe here itself error screen folder. Okay, so this is the structure. So the data has a config has a 3 sheets. Understand? Do you have any doubts? Explanation is done in RE framework. Okay, so what my suggestion is like a just take a picture of this image, so from your phone, and without seeing, so just go through the picture and draw multiple times. Okay, in the white paper. Okay, so just draw in your notebook, because so you have to understand which XAML is called in which state and what is the flow, everything. Okay, once you understand the logic, that means the behind the logic. Suppose this is a done, right? This is a done. Once this last one is done, my question is, see here, once the Rajesh work is done in the process state, Rajesh is a success or fail? Rajesh, success, right? So in the process, Rajesh is success. Where it will go? In the process, Rajesh is success. Where it will go? Why it is going to the finally? I'm just asking, from the process state, if the Rajesh record is a success, from the process, where it will go? That's what. So the process is not connected to the finally. Surya, the process state is not connected to the finally. That's why I just drag the initially and okay. So keep in mind, so you don't drag this into the final state. So it will go to the get transaction state. What is the get transaction? In the get transactions, where it will go? It will go to the else condition, right? Else condition. So in the get transaction state, from the get transaction state, where it will go next? else block. It won't go to the then block, Surya. Then block only it will go when anyone click on the stop button. Okay, it will go to the else block. In the else block, go to the get transactions data. The get transaction data will return the transaction item is equal to nothing. Okay, in the in these situations, from the get transaction state, where it will go? Final state, not finally block. See, final state is different, finally block is different. Finally block is a in the exception handling try catch finally. Final state. Okay, very simple thing. If any system exception occurred in the process state, what is the next immediate state? If any system exception occurred in the process state, what is the next immediate state? All has to participate. If any system exception occurred, Suraya, why it is a get transaction state? You are typing get transaction state and init state. See, system exception, you'll go to the init state, okay. If any system exception occurred in the init state, what is the next immediate state? If any system exception occurred in the init state, what is the next immediate state? Final state. Perfect. If any system exception occurred in the get transaction state, what is the next immediate state? If there is a business exception occurred in the process state, what is the next immediate state? There is a business exception occurred in the process state. There is a business exception occurred in the process state. What is the next immediate state? Where we are just updating the status of the queue. Which state we are updating the status of the queue? So where we are checking the should stop, whether it is anyone click on the stop button from the orchestrator, which state we are checking? Throughout the workflow, where we are calling the close all applications process. Throughout the workflow, where we are calling the close all applications process. So if I want to open the some Google Chrome or Facebook.com, so that applications, in which workflow we have to write that code? I want to open the application. Which workflow, not the state. States is gone. Okay, which workflow? Here you have a workflows, right? Init all applications, Neha. Init all settings. No init all settings. Init all settings is only getting the data from the Excel and loading into the config. Init all applications. Init all applications. Do you understand, Sneha? Okay. In this workflow, I want to write the logout code. Logout. So I want to log out to the Facebook or some XYZ application. Okay, where we have to write the logout code. Which workflow? Which workflow we have to write the logout code? All others has to participate. Okay, close all applications. Perfect. Okay. Okay. So I want to kill the Excel. Okay, where we have to write the Excel, killing the Excel code. How many sheets are there in the config .xlsx? Okay, so if I have a new asset, okay, I just added the new asset name in the orchestrator. So where I have to update that new asset name in throughout the RE framework, which sheet I have to update in the config Excel? Okay, can we add the another sheets in the Excel? Can we use the RE framework in the sorry? Can we use a RE framework without using the queue items? Okay, Also, one more question is like, can we add another state within the RE framework? Can we add another state within the RE framework? Just type yes or no. Yes, it is. It is allowed. Okay. Okay. So it is allowed. Monisha, Sneha. Okay. They gave the initially we come with this one. Okay. So how many sheets they provided? This is the template we provided, right? How many sheets they provided? If I want to add one more sheet like this, can I add? Right? Can I add in the middle is another sheet? Just see here. Can I add another sheet here in the middle? We can add, right? In the same way. So that's they gave the facility, right? So you can add. Yeah, it is a template. Yeah, that's why it is. You can add you can customize template based on the. So whether you are following, these are all the rules. It is not strict. Okay, these are all the rules. Whether you are following that rules or not, based on your. If you follow the rules, then it's a best practice. So you are just having the proper coding standards. Okay. So I don't want to write a logout code in the close all applications. I want to write in the some other others like a process like that. Write down, no problem. Okay, it won't stop you. But the rule is like a so it's like a some rules. So whether you have to write the same code in the proper XAML or not, based on that, it's based on your opinion. Okay, that's it. Okay, so write down the that mean diagram and go through the this all the things, and so we'll see tomorrow the actual project. Okay, the only theory actual project, so we'll see tomorrow. And the same thing, not tomorrow, right? Tomorrow Saturday and Sunday, and this Saturday and Sunday, so what I'm requesting you is like go through the RE framework one more time and go through all the 9 topics I just explained yesterday, right? I told you. So the 9 topics, like what is the 9 topics you should need to know? One is like just type in the chat window what all the things we should know before going to the RE framework. Type all has to type. Okay. Read Excel. So why I just type read Excel? Because you need all settings is there, right? Dictionary, assets, log mechanism, state mission I write, and queues. Okay, perfect. Help me on that. Should stop. Okay, should stop. What is the purpose of should stop? Dictionary we wrote dictionary. Okay, we covered. What is the next thing? Reusable workflow. 9th one is the exception handling. So these 9 topics, go through this Saturday and Sunday. We'll see on Monday the final example. Okay, so that is a project, and we'll see that project, and that is almost classes are over. We will see on the 1 or 2 examples in the dispatcher and performer kind of thing. Okay, so these 2 days perfect on this all 9 topics, and also the theoretical part. Okay, you should know about where it is exactly, how the flow is there going on. Thank you very much. Good night. Have a great day for you. Bye bye. We will see on Monday.